Prasada for Commerce, Industry, Electronics and IT, Government of India, and he is here to discuss with us the recent Union Budget which was unveiled by our Finance Minister Mrs. Nirmala Sitharaman. Without wasting further time, I request our Honorary Treasurer, Mr. Rohan Bhandare, for his opening remarks before we start with this. Thank you.
Chief guest and keynote speaker of today's event, Industry Jitin Prasada, Minister of State for Commerce and Industry and Electronics and IT of Government of India, President of Goa Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Srinivas Dempo, past President of GCCI, Industry President of Bharatiya Janata Party Goa, Damon Naik, esteemed guests from the DGFT, Commissioner Dr. Sampath, former MLA of Farji constituency, Mr. Siddharth Kurkar, of Vasco, Mr. Rajesh Thakur, members of the Managing Committee, chairpersons, co-chairpersons, ladies and gentlemen. It's my pleasure and privilege to welcome all of you for today's program. We welcome Jitin Prasad ji to Goa and thank him for accepting our invitation to come to the chamber. And we thank our President GCCI and the team from BJP for helping to facilitate this fantastic initiative. The role of the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, is getting very challenging on a day-by-day basis, especially looking at the kind of global challenges and the global uncertainties. We are aware that the Trump Sarkar is here. They are there with the tariffs, and we are also aware that there was also a global tax deal in which the US had pulled out on the first day itself of taking up the presidency. So these are the kind of global uncertainties which are there, which have brought a lot of anxieties for the trade and industry. And in fact, you can see the ripples of these even in the stock market. I believe the budget has come at the perfect time, and the budget has really helped to give a very loud and clear statement. The statement from the budget and the government today is that we are here for the industry. We are here to support you with infrastructure. We are here to support manufacturing. What we would like from the industry is that it's time to go global, and it's now time to go and become more manufacturing centric and more export centric. These are fantastic initiatives of the budget and by the Commerce and Industry Ministry. We are very, very happy for a lot of significant kind of initiatives which are there. Be it the revolutionary Bharat Trade Net, which will be a totally different digital infrastructure which is coming up. Be it the National Manufacturing Mission, the significance which is being given to exports. These are really going to help the MSMEs, and as well as the change or the raising of the thresholds of an MSME will have more MSMEs into the ambit and give a lot of credit facilities. Today is the 12th of February, and I think 12 has also got a very good significance as far as budget is concerned. The 12 lakh income where there will be no taxes. This is something which was really not expected also by the industry. We are really, really thankful, sir, for the kind of fantastic initiative which has been taken there, which is really going to give a boost to the middle class and bring more money in the hands of the people, and this will again in turn drive consumption. Sir is also part of the electronics and IT sector, which is again very close to Goa, and I think the custom duty rationalization which has come in, and even presumptive schemes which will help in collaboration with kind of foreign technologies which are being put up in this budget are really going to be revolutionary. The amounts, the kind of funds for infrastructure which have been again given to Goa on an interest-free long-term basis, as well as the new investor friendliness index which is being brought to bring healthy competition between states, is again going to be a game changer, sir. We are really looking forward to this. We really thankful for the huge announcements, and we are really looking forward for all the significant announcements which have been made for Goa. And GCCI is very, very happy to act as a catalyst and work with the state government and the central government to implement these policies. GCCI, under the dynamic leadership of our president, Mr. Srinivas Dempo, has been taking a lot of initiatives, and it's his policy advocacy and representations through which many of GCCI's recommendations have also been taken up in this budget. We are really looking forward for Sir's address, and again, once again, sir, we'd like to welcome you to Goa, and we look forward for a fantastic session. Thank you.
I now request our President, Mr. Srinivas Dempo, to welcome the Honorable Minister with the bouquet of flowers.
Thank you, Gordon.
To request him to welcome the State President of BJP, Mr. Damodar Naik, with the bouquet of flowers. Thank you. The first question the Honorable Minister asked me, is the chamber vibrant? And I said yes, the chamber is vibrant, and he was very happy about it. To tell us more about the chamber and his welcome address and his views on the budget, I now invite our President, Mr. Srinivas Dempo, on the day.
You know what, you like tell the camera to go to the back.
Most respected Minister Industry Jitin Prasada, my friend who has recently taken over the reins of Bharatiya Janata Party in Goa, Mr. Damodar Naik, Honorable MLA of Vasco, Mr. Daji Salkar, Dr. Sampath, who is the Joint Director of DGFT Mumbai office, my friend who's past President Nitin Kunkulikar, all Managing Committee members, members of GCCI and friends. Rohan has given you a very good brief about what the Chamber's expectations were and how it panned out. I must congratulate the government and its representative here, Mr. Jitin Prasada, for a very revolutionary budget in one sense. I think the biggest catch point was the 12 lakh exemption that was given. Apparently, there were signs of a slowdown in consumption. I also operate in the FMCG sector, and we were clearly seeing a slowdown. And I think this will give a huge boost to consumption. So a big thank you from the Goa Chamber of Commerce to the Honorable Prime Minister, to the Honorable FM for giving these doors for increasing consumption. I think the emphasis on capex continues. We have seen, though Goa is a very small and tiny state, we have seen the largest that it has received from the central government. If you see our infrastructure today, it is world class, whether it's in roads, whether it's the way the ports are developing, and various other infrastructure. So I think we must be thankful to the government for treating Goa on a special basis. There are a number of schemes that have been announced, and I would urge the Honorable Minister to include Goa in many of these schemes. We have written a separate communication to the Honorable Prime Minister, whether it's in Krishi Dhan Yojana scheme, where we have made a humble request to include both North and South Goa districts. The daycare cancer centers would be a huge benefit, not only to industrial workers, but also to the people at large who can access affordable health care, because cancer is on the rise in not only India, but all over the world, and this would hugely benefit. Nobody needs to talk about tourism in Goa. It's one of the iconic brands as far as the entire world is concerned. There is a new initiative which has been announced in the budget. We are waiting for details. But our humble request would be to include Goa in various schemes, developing tourism hubs as well as the connected infrastructure. I won't take much of your time, sir. Just to let you know, we are one of the oldest chambers in the country. We are more than 100 years old. We've had the real privilege of hosting Sri Atal Bihari Vajpayee, who was then the Prime Minister, who came and visited Chamber and Goa that time. And he blessed us with his wise counsel and words. And our philosophy has always been to work closely with the government in various policy initiatives. Recently, the Honorable Chief Minister announced a very forward-looking agricultural policy. And I must take great pleasure and happiness in informing you that a lot of inputs in that policy has gone from the Goa Chamber of Commerce and Industry. So our philosophy has been to work together to see how we can trigger Goa's GDP growth rate. We have a couple of challenges. We had a closure of mining which really dented our GDP. But fortunately the process has been put in place. Many of the leases have been auctioned now. They have been, and we hope that the process of actual start of mining is expedited and it starts adding to the Goa GDP and the population starts getting benefit. Once again, sir, a warm welcome and thank you for this opportunity to interact. Thank you.
Thank you, President. Growth, development and beyond. That's how we look at the Union Budget 25-26. And the time has now come to hear our Honorable Minister, Mr. Jitin Prasada. Sir, for your analysis of the budget.
Thank you. Very glad that I have got the opportunity to come to Goa and interact with the Chamber of Commerce, who at one point in time this building has hosted, as I've been told, Sri Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji. That itself is a big honor and it's a privilege for me to be here as well. And with me on the dais, who we just heard, the President of the Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Srinivas Dempo, who I can call a half a politician, as well. Mr. Damodar Nayak is the dynamic President of the Bharatiya Janata Party, who has just taken over the reins of the party recently. Mr. Nitin Kunkalekar, the past President. Mr. Sampath, the Joint Director of the DGFT of my department. Of course, the dynamic MLA from Vasco, Mr. Dadi Salkar, and our ex-MLA, Mr. Siddharth Kongalar, tongue twister hai. And who else? Mr. Rohan Bhandari, whose views we just heard. Anyway, so I'm glad, the Chamber of Commerce, people here, as I've been told, it's a very vibrant Chamber of Commerce. It's not only on paper, it's actually very active and has been giving suggestions none to the state as well as the center. And I have a dual responsibility as Minister of State in the Commerce and Industry, as well as electronics and IT. The both are very crucial and very important at the moment as we speak, because the world is changing so rapidly and it's becoming so uncertain times that you don't know, by next morning you might get a tweet and things change. You know who I'm referring to. So it's very changing, evolving and challenging. And of course the 3 C's of COVID, climate change and conflict, that has had a bearing not only in the world. India is one of those countries which of course is part of that, and we face challenges, and everything that happens in the world, India does get affected. And now that we have seen within our own in these past 10 years how Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji's leadership has taken on these challenges, and India has sustained its growth, its exports, its industry, its per capita, and we are headed in the right direction because our basics and our leadership is very strong. And this budget, I've seen a lot of them, even though I had a brief break in the middle because I went to state politics. Now I'm back in Parliament. And every time the budget used to be, read out, and after the budget we used to see a lot of criticism from the opposition. But this budget was so good that there could be no criticism at all. And this has been a historic budget in the true sense, I can tell you. Because, you know, the feeling over the years had been that a lot of sectors get the focus and the impetus of the budget, and the middle class, which is a growing part of the aspirational India, that has been the focus of this budget as well, apart from agriculture and industry and other sections which are marginalized. They have been given the focus. But that 12 lakh income, which is tax-free, is a game changer. And as has been just said that, you know, apart from those people who fall in that bracket and get the benefit, but the spending increases, the consumption increases, this kickstarts the economy, and that's how India self-sustains itself and takes on these challenges at the international level. And I can tell you that from the Commerce Ministry point of view, that India is so well placed, and we are, you know, apart from the budget which has been discussed, and most of the people know what it entails. And if any queries are there, I'll be happy to answer that. But I must tell you how India is changing. What the Prime Minister has done in these 10 years has taken India's brand to a new level. The respect and the authority that we command at the international level. And I got a first-hand view of things. We see foreign delegations coming every other day. My senior minister, Mr. Piyush Goyal, is at the forefront discussing FTAs, which are so important. And now we tell them that India has changed. We have a 1.4 billion people market, which is just not population. It's an aspirational India where we're going to spend money. And we, you know, in a developed economy, in a developed country, they've got everything. They don't need to spend. They don't know where to spend. If any product across the world has to sell, they have to come to India, because India is that country that is willing to buy it. And we have that power, we have that market, and we are going to leverage that. Gone are the days when India used to be treated where dumb, low, substandard quality stuff used to be put into India. Your rubber, from the neighboring countries, the products used to come substandard, toys, plastic, the works. But now Indians want quality, standard. They are not willing to be given second-class materials and products. And that's where our advantage is. We have a stable government. Governments across the world are changing. This is the third tenure of Prime Minister Modi. There is no joke in such a vibrant democracy and such a, such a diverse country. A third term majority. And on top of that, where the world was looking at these state elections, from Haryana to Maharashtra to Delhi, that also the Bharatiya Janata Party has got the mandate, which just goes to show that the Prime Minister's policies, programs have transcended the anti-incumbency, which usually kicks in within one term. But 3 terms consecutive in these times is unheard of across the world. I'm not talking about only India. So there's continuity of policy, there's stability. The world is looking at India, and government is playing its role. But nothing happens only by signing files and making policies. It's people like you, the other stakeholders in the part of this growth story of India, who equally contribute to nation building, to job creation, to consumption, to infrastructure, to our export basket, and taking that brand India to a next level. Because quality of product is very important. You know, in commerce we send from fruits, vegetables to anything from electronics to the works. So now, to protect the India brand, we also have to be very careful that what we make and what we do is top class, international and top quality. There can be no compromise. One consignment of bad quality and that brand has gone. So we are very mindful. We are not compromising on quality, like I said. We don't hesitate to bring in quality QCOs. We negotiate on an equal footing in the best interest of our country, our people, our business. Be rest assured. And as far as the other responsibility that I hold, as electronics and IT, the Prime Minister today is in France on the artificial intelligence conference that's happening. That's another thing you will be facing soon. You like it or not, that AI is here, and you have to start. I think you should have already started by now to adapting and changing according to what lies ahead. There will be a lot of changes in your businesses, in your lifestyles, in consumption patterns, in technology. So you know it's so evolving. So we can't be caught napping. And India is at the forefront. We have a very skilled workforce. We are skilling our people. Capacity building is very important. Future skills, the courses which are going to be, making them employable. So people say, with this AI and a lot of jobs will be reduced and cut. But you have to look at the other side as well. The new jobs will be created. And India adapts well. When the computers came, the same thing was said. What will happen to our typists? But it just changed. Everyone adapted. Anyway, so we'll have to be ready. Business has to be ready. You have to be ready. And I was speaking to the auto components industry the other day. That whole process has changed from your driving to, from your diesel to petrol. It's gone to electronics to, you'll have driverless cars, you will have the works. So this is the time. And India should be at the forefront. But anyway, so the budget has, like I said, flawless, I can tell you, has catered to the segment which is given the boost to that segment which is badly needed. And I have this letter of Mr. Dempo, who has sent it to the Prime Minister, congratulating him on the policies and programs that the budget entails, from the rationalization of the taxes to tax relief measures to a focus on MSMEs, and of course there are these 4 points that he's raised, and that is one that is Prime Minister's Dhanya Krishi Yojana. The small farmers, I can see them when I always come to Goa. Those rice fields, small holdings. Of course, this scheme has been launched, and everybody wants their districts to be taken. So it's going to be, I think, a bottom-up approach. The ones that are backward are the least developed, and where it's most needed. I probably think, Goa is a priority. It fits in. So, but that only when the policy and the list is out will you come to know. And the second one is the daycare cancer centers. Of course, you know how this disease is grappling and just growing over time. And so many cases which were unheard of. Now you see every day people who are getting cancer. And the focus of the government is, of course, the people who can get access to hospitals and that medicine. It's easy for them, but there are a lot of them in the villages who don't have that kind of access and that opportunity. So the government is focusing on that as well. Of course, tourism. Goa is that tourism hub. In that story of India, and the tourism history is written, Goa is a shining hope and a jewel in that. And when we tell people lecture us, when we do these FTAs, that India has so much potential, but why doesn't it do much more on tourism? So they talk about tourism between countries. But our states have enough that drive so much tourism that they can't even think of. As you can see that where the state that I'm coming from, in Uttar Pradesh, Prayagraj, the Mahakumbh is happening there, and the phenomenal size of the numbers is unimaginable. But Goa has that potential, it draws international tourism as well as domestic, and that necessary thrust and the focus of the central government is of course here to build that infrastructure, to give you those facilities, to give you that impetus to ensure that tourism top slot remains with Goa, and it is truly an international destination. And I'm sure that no stone will be left unturned, I can assure you, with a double engine, united, center and state, that we will bring and do everything possible to take this tourism sector ahead in Goa. Then the Jal Jeevan Mission has also been outlined by an additional outlay that you have requested. It's been mentioned in the budget that that scheme has got the sanctions to take the Jal Jeevan Mission ahead across the country, because that's one of the primary needs you need, and that's what the Prime Minister has done. And he's seen the basics, from toilets to drinking water available at every household, which is just it's so important, and that wasn't there before. But now we are headed to that direction of 2047, where we will see a Viksit Bharat, and I'm sure with all your efforts together, we will ensure that our country, which is already the 5th largest economy in the world, and on its way to become the 3rd, and that's the way we are headed. And we are glad that we have the leadership that we do under Prime Minister Modi ji, who is working tirelessly, and I've seen it from close quarters, that leadership of him, selfless, everything, every breath of his is for dedicated to the nation and for the cause of every Indian citizen to making their lives better. Thank you for having me here. And any questions, any queries, I can try and answer that. But I can assure you that it's all good and in safe hands, and the trajectory of our country is skyrocketing. Thank you.
Yeah, any questions?
Sir, thank you so much for your address and for interaction with the chamber members. I had a personal question, and more an advice than a question. In this budget, I saw a very new concept of having an investor-friendly index for the states, where you encourage competitive federalism. And I think that's a great way to project for every state in order to attract investment, FDI. In Goa, our situation is a little different. We are too small, population density is less, our per capita income, because of that factor, is very high. And I know that we have certain traditional industries. Any advice to Goan industry as to how we could pitch ourselves to be on top of this investor-friendly index, so that we can continue to, because day by day we have to rely less on the government funding and more on private and FDI funding and private funding. So just your thoughts there.
No, that initiative is just being rolled out. But, in the Commerce Ministry, we already have a kind of a grading system where we look at ease of doing business of every state, and how things and reforms have been taken by that particular state, such as simplifying matters, procedures. Also, a lot of this old ways and processes have been done away with. And this is the Modi government, with these compliances. ease of doing business is a top priority. And the more faster we adapt, the better it is for any state. Because it's so, apart from being domestic, it's all international. And that's what I was just there yesterday with the Swiss delegation. And they're asking, they're into these sectors of logistics to works. And they feel that, certain states have taken a lot of advantage by adapting and ensuring that the processes are simple, there's transparency, there's continuity. And of course, the local business and the local population is cooperative. You can't have somebody coming up and waiting for 10 years to set up industry because there's a agitation happening on land. And there was one case, historic case in Orissa. I remember that one. You just couldn't. So those things. But we have, as the government, have to take into account all sections. It cannot be one-sided. But of course, the intent is that to ease of doing business is the mantra I can give you. If that has to be adopted and that is simplified, we are through. And the government is fully supportive. And like I said, it's all changing. It's very hands-on. The regulation, as the Prime Minister has said, minimum government, maximum governance. He doesn't want intervention. It should be less regulation. That's the only way forward. If you over-regulate, you stifle anything from innovation to business to. And that's the way forward that this government is looking at. And any specific issues, like I said, now that I'm here, and my party president is here, I'm sitting in Delhi, and you have every right now, and an invitation from me, that whatever issues have to be, and my DGFT officers here, you will ensure that as far as possible, that any concerns, any issues should be sorted out at the fastest. It cannot be waiting for things to happen at their own sweet will. Time is important. Things are changing. India is changing, and decisions have to be taken faster. I assure you that.
So, one of the greatest decisions of the last 1 year is announcement of this port, new port at Vadwan. And that's going to be a game changer because it's the first international transshipment port of India. It's going to, because India is shifting towards export-led growth over import substitution policy. It's very highly commendable, which also will have impact on state of Goa also. Sir, there is also a need to relook at ports like Goa. From a pure mining-based port to a commodity-based port can transform this southern part of India. We need to create more smaller ports also, which can be linked to other international transshipment ports. May I also request you to take note of this, the sentiment of the Goan industry. And one more point, sir, from a very strategic perspective. Highly commendable thing in electronics that happened was PLI. It started with electronic industry for mobiles, and which got accepted for most of other sectors. But one of the things what we are noticing now, sir, this PLI is being hijacked by most of the multinationals. And most of the multinationals which are hijacking, which are using their ecosystem from China and other destinations, still they are not able to relocate their ecosystem. How about promoting some of the top Indian companies? They will need a push, they need a support. Multinationals have big arms. How do we look at creating India-centric ecosystems? Because we had a great opportunity on account of geopolitical situation to relocate the supply chains. If Goa can also participate in this, it will be our endeavor from the industry side. We would likely even take lead, but we would need your support in this direction.
Both your suggestions, one with regard to the port. Of course, India has great export potential. And Goa is lucky it has a port, and there are many inland areas which lose out because of that logistics advantage which they don't have. So this is one area which the government is giving full thrust to, because that's the way forward we're looking at doing everything possible to ensure that India does become that export manufacturing or production hub. And from seaports to, we are also focusing on the budget that's been mentioned on air cargo vessels, because it's so important, because the timing of, especially with regard to agriculture, by the time the product reaches, it loses its value, and you have to put in a lot of effort to ensure that it does reach in the condition. If it's not air, then it's a big problem. As far as your question with PLI is concerned, see, the whole PLI scheme is to ensure that manufacturing happens in India, one, and two, it happens at scale. We want the best and the biggest to come here and set shop here. And once they do that, then you're talking about the MSMEs, which are a focus of this government, which fall in that value chain of that and that ecosystem, and that's how the whole intent of the scheme is. But I can tell you, India is reducing its dependence on any country. We are looking at manufacturing, and we will not allow a few big to corner the benefits of any scheme in India. It's for the people of India and the manufacturing capability of India to increase. And I can tell you, in the pipeline, we are also ensuring more PLI schemes, especially in the electronic sector, so that our Indian companies benefit, and the policies and the programs and incentive of the government is garnered by people within India, and not only by a select few.
We are delighted to do this. Thanks a lot.
I think that will be.
We are running short of time. We have got another appointment. So, on behalf of the Goa Chamber of Commerce and Industries, my sincere thanks to the Honorable Minister for sparing his time and coming to the chamber. I thank the State President of BJP,